This is the space heater I'm supposed to heat my whole apartment with. And this little frazzle. I'm supposed to heat my whole apartment up with this. Half my building was heating their apartments up with ovens that whole time. I was supposed to use this, so I'm confined in my bedroom, you know, and then it would short the power out. So I couldn't keep it on for a long period of time because I got to go keep resetting the fuse box.
And so what we're arguing is that once the heat went out, it was one occurrence that had happened and that it did not.
So you're saying, is your argument that if his heat was out for a year, there would be one occurrence?
Today, in Judge Washington's court, we have a failure to pay rent hearing, where the tenant is withholding rent due to being without heat and hot water during the winter months. Will the tenant be ordered to pay this rent? Let's find out.
The case of Village Grove 1 LLC versus Kevin Hugan, case number 23C0328.
Good evening, Your Honor. Jenny Scheid on behalf of the plaintiff, P64886.
Good evening. Mr. Kevin Hugan, please unmute your device and state your name, sir.
Kevin Hugan.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're here for a hearing today in this particular matter. As we had placed on the record earlier today, I am in receipt of 12 exhibits. I presume you've shared those with Mr. Hugan as well.
I have not, Your Honor. He has a copy of the lease and the demand for possession and would have access to his ledger through the tenant portal. The other documents regarding the service requests we did not provide to him.
Sure, you have to provide him a copy of whatever you submit to this court.
I can certainly email that over to him right now.
Please do so.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, I received the email.
All right, thank you so much.
Am I supposed to read all? I don't what am I supposed to be looking for? I have no clue.
Well, when they try to introduce the document, you can look at that email to reference what they're talking about, sir. They've attached a copy of the lease in here, a copy of a demand for possession, which you already have in your hand. They also have a copy of the ledger, which shows how much you owe. They have a copy of a space heater agreement, which must have been something that you agreed to at one point when there was a heat problem or something. And then they have copies of a bunch of documents that shows when they provided services regarding your potential issues. So there were plumbing repairs and emergency pipes burst that they had to repair. And it looks like that happened on December the 26th, December the 30th. And then there was an inlet pump that was replaced on February 12th. These are all the invoices for the work that they had done. There was also a boiler and refrigeration labor costs that was on February 16th. And then mechanical repairs for no heat in the building, which they said they did on February 18th. And then another emergency plumbing repair from January 21st. And then this might be a duplicate. The boiler repair on January 23rd. And then a control board and thermostat that were replaced. So those are invoices. So that's what those items are. Having said all that, Ms. Scheid, this is your hearing. You may proceed.
So, Your Honor, this is a non-payment of rent case as we had filed. Mr. Hugan does have an active lease with the plaintiff. He does currently have a balance, though. As promised in his lease agreement, he had promised to pay his rent on time. And when he failed to do so, we did send the demand for possession for non-payment of rent. And when he still failed to pay, we initiated this complaint here. As you'll see from the current balance on the ledger, there is still money owing of a total of $2,418, and that does include $162 for the court costs for instituting this action. I believe that ultimately what this case comes down to is the fact that my client is acknowledging that there were an issue that happened with the heat on December 23rd that was fixed by January 23rd. And during that time, you can see through the different service requests that we have provided. that they were doing everything in their power to get the heat back on and started back up for all of the individuals that were affected by it. Mr. Hugan was one of them. It is also our contention that during this time that we had also provided Mr. Hugan with a space heater to help with the fact that the boiler was out during this time. And according to my client, I believe that as of April 10th, still had not returned that, even though the boiler has been fixed since January 23rd. Ultimately, because Mr. Hugan has made payments since then, I believe that ultimately he is withholding his rent for January and February under the belief that he should have his rent abated for the lack of heat for 1 month. As you are aware, there is some statutory reasoning for this being just one occurrence, though. And under one occurrence, the most that Mr. Hugan would be entitled to is $200. At that point, we have ultimately tried to resolve this matter with him and with all of the residents that have been impacted by this matter. And unfortunately, he has not accepted our offer to try to resolve and instead has resulted in this hearing. So at this time, I believe that Mr. Hugan, I would hope, would admit that he does have an active lease, that he does owe rent, and that there is an agreement that he owes $2,418.
All right, let's start with the basics, Mr. Hugan. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may lower your hand. Sir, do you acknowledge that if there is no abatement, you owe at this time $2,418?
What is the abatement?
That is if I give a reduction in the rent.
Can I say something real quick or no?
No, you can answer my question, sir.
I don't understand. Okay. I don't believe I owe full rent for January and February.
I just said I get to make a determination as to whether or not you owe the full rent or not. If I say you don't owe, then that's my call. But before then, are you agreeing that the amount that you would owe would be $2,418 if I were to give you no monies towards that? Are you agreeing that that's what you would owe?
Yes. Okay. I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. So we can agree that the starting point would be $2,418.
I believe so.
And that you are in an active lease with them at this time, sir? You agree with that?
Yes.
All right. So we start with that premise. Now, Ms. Scheid, I'm going to go back to you because I need for you to give me the statute that you're referring to as to one occurrence.
It is 600.2918, subparagraph 2, subparagraph F. It refers to the fact that the owner would be entitled to recover $200 per occurrence. This was just one occurrence that had occurred, he is seeking as a part of his counterclaim $200 per day that it was out. And that would be even more than what the amount of the rent is or the amount that he is currently owed on his ledger. And so what we're arguing is that once the heat went out, it was one occurrence that had happened and that it did not.
So you're saying, is your argument that if his heat was out for a year, there would be one occurrence?
I'm just going based upon what the statute says, and it says one occurrence. It was not something that happened more than once. It was one occurrence that was fixed. However, again, we have tried to resolve this matter with him and have given him rent credits as a part of the ability to try to resolve this. We have done the same with other residents. We've offered him the same as we have with other individuals, including DTE credits and a credit for his rent. But our client did everything that they could during that time, including providing him with a space heater to assist him with the situation with the loss of heat. Mr. Hugan, to our knowledge, did not move out of the unit, did not have to move to a hotel or anything like that. So his damages at this point would be just the additional cost that he had as a result of the increased utility bills. It would not be $200 per day.
So the statute reads, any tenant in possession of premises whose possessory interest has been unlawfully interfered with by the owner is entitled to recover the amount of his or her actual damages or $200, whichever is greater for each occurrence. And if possession has been lost, to recover possession.
So again, Mr. Hugan has not provided us with any documentation showing that he moved out or had to secure alternate housing during this time. So his damages would be limited. His actual damages would be limited to the $200.
One moment. All right. Mr. Hugan, what would you like to say at this time, sir?
Yes, I would just like to give a brief of the beginning. what she's saying is I never heard of her. Jack is new. This started in November. I had no heat. My heat did not get fixed until February 7th when the maintenance man came and he bled the air out of my, they have these little white things on the walls that produce the heat. He had to come bleed them on February 7th. I know that because I missed that day of my father's birthday. And the heat, and they came and replaced the thermostat on the 23rd when I buried my nephew. I had no heat. First of all, in November, they said, Mr. Hugan, we can't turn the boilers on until it's a certain temperature. I went with that. Cool. Now we're in December. I still have no heat. I got the space heater right now. I can show it to you. It's a little space heater. It can't heat my bedroom. You know, so what do you think I'm going to live off that? And that was the coldest point from the holidays. From the holidays was the coldest point. I had to go relieve myself somewhere else because we had no heat and water for a long time. She didn't tell you that either. We had no water. And we finally got running water. The water was cold. I had to boil water to take a bath to go to work. She's not, I don't know what she's saying. This is worse than what she's saying. This has been since November. My heat got fixed February 7th. And that's why I agreed with Jack when I finally talked to him. He said, have you had no problem since? I said, no. That's why I paid March and that's why I paid April. I had no problem since. If you look at my history, this is my third lease. I'll pay on time every time. No, I don't ask them for anything. But I had no heat from November all the way to February 7th. And I paid my rent that whole November, that whole December. It was freezing. I have hotel receipts. I don't know what she's talking about. I had to beg family, can I spend the night? So I don't know what she's talking about. I went through a struggle here. It was cold nights where I couldn't afford to go anywhere. So I sat in my house and bundled up. This space heater is this big. If you plug in, sometimes it's short at the so I don't know where she's coming from with this. Sorry. I just never
where are the receipts?
Yeah, I got a couple receipts. I got one in my car. I got receipts.
Sir, today's the date and time for the hearing. Why do you not have the receipts today?
I can go get the receipt, but I just think it's fair. And then they try to offer me $100 off. I pay $1,100 a month. They try to offer me. What about the time I went with no heat? That's all I'm asking for them is to be fair. She just said it was a month. She just admitted it was a month with no heat. Who would go a month with no heat in the coldest month of the winter? And the water was off more than once. She's not, that was some issues.
Thank you. Ms. Scheid, is it true water was not heated either? Or was at one point he says it was off, and then at another point it wasn't being heated. So if the boiler is not working, does he have access to hot water?
So there was a point where there was an issue with the water, but again, that was resolved. I'm not sure, again, he hasn't provided us with any receipts regarding him having to actually go stay someplace else. And I don't know what he's referring to as for having no heat in November when the boiler in question that caused this issue went down December 23rd. And again, if you look at the service requests for January 23rd, it does say that the boiler says it at the bottom, there's a note on there that says that it is working properly at that time.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
May.
So why did the maintenance man have to come bleed the lines on February 7th? He said there was no way you could have got heat. He had to come bleed the air out whatever this thing is by the windows that produce the heat. I have witnesses. I mean, I understand that I have witnesses that were sitting here, and I never said that I paid for a hotel room every night. I had to stay with family some nights. I didn't say, but she wasn't here when I was here in the cold.
Well, Ms. Scheid, I do have some questions because I have receipts here that appear to be, let's see, that one's dated January 13th, December 30th. All right, I'm sorry, those are due dates that I'm looking at. Do you want to provide some testimony from any witnesses today, Ms. Scheid?
Yes, Your Honor, we have Jack Rosen, who is the manager at Village Grove.
Rosen, please raise your right hand to be sworn.
I think he turned his video off on accident. Okay.
Sorry, Your Honor. Can I confirm instead of swear?
I'm sorry. Yes, you may, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you confirm, affirm, or swear, whichever one you prefer to do, that you will be given nothing but the truth here today?
I do confirm.
Thank you. You may lower your hand.
Mr. Rosen,
All right.
can you please state where you're currently employed at?
Am I what?
State where you're currently employed at.
At Village Grove Apartments.
And what is your current employment status with them?
Regional manager.
As the Village Grove manager, you're familiar with Mr. Hugan and his tenancy.
I am somewhat, being as I took over here in beginning of March.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any records in his file indicating that there were any issues with his heat in November of 2022?
So I don't see any maintenance requests that were submitted at that time. All our maintenance issues have to be submitted in our portals that show up in my files. And I have gone through as many as I could find.
So, Mr. Rosen, is it your understanding that Mr. Hugan's heat went out on December 23rd, 2022?
Yes,
Is it also your understanding that Mr. Hugan's heat was restored on or about January 23rd, 2023, when the boiler was fixed?
yes.
All right, thank you. Has Mr. Hugan reported any other concerns regarding water?
There was a point after that where there was another issue again with the intense cold where there was a problem, and it was off for a short period. But I believe that's also documented in the invoices that we gave for how long it was out for. Maybe I don't know the exact time frame, but I don't think it was very long.
Was it days or weeks?
It was definitely not weeks. I think at most it may have been a couple days. The exact details of that, I don't know the exact details just because I wasn't there. My maintenance supervisor may know more information accurate about that.
Has Mr. Hugan have any open maintenance requests?
Does he have any open ones?
Yes.
No.
So is it your understanding that Mr. Hugan's maintenance is all caught up and there's no concerns regarding his unit and its habitability at this time?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. And does Mr. Hugan currently still have a balance on his account?
Yes.
And with court costs, is that amount $2,418?
It is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any
at this time?
questions? Thank you. Any questions you have at this time, Mr. Hugan or Mr. Rosen?
Yes, because he just started in March, so he has no idea.
Sir.
Okay, no. Can I say something about the reports though?
No, you can't. You can do that later if you have any questions for him. That's the stage we're in right now.
I don't even know him. So no, I don't have no question for him. He answered my questions. He really don't know. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, Mark.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else you want to call today, Miss Scheid?
Yes, I would also like to call Ashantis Kuntz, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Thank you. Ma'am, how do you pronounce your name?
She got it right. It's Ashantis.
All right, Ms. Kuntz, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. You may lower your hand, and I can barely see your face. Thank you. All right, you may proceed.
Can you please state where you're currently employed at?
Village Grove Apartments,
And what is your current job title?
co-property manager and leasing manager.
As a property and leasing manager, are you familiar with Mr. Hugan's tenancy at Village Grove?
Just enough. Like I know
Sorry,
enough.
sorry.
I said just enough. Like I know enough about his account. I read through it.
But are you familiar with any of the concerns or issues that he is bringing forth today regarding heat and habitability?
Yes.
Okay. Were you employed with Village Grove at the time that the boiler went down in December 2022?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Before that time, were you aware of any concerns that Mr. Hugan had brought forth regarding any heat in November of 2022?
I don't Not that I'm aware of, but I don't think the boilers were on until late November.
Okay. And when they were on in December, on December 23rd, there was a problem that caused the boilers to be in need of repair.
Yeah, because the pump needed to be replaced. It went down.
Okay. And did Village Grove take all of the responsibilities that they could in order to get this boiler fixed as soon as possible?
Yeah, we had to order. It took a little while to come in.
Okay. And was it fixed on or about January 23rd, 2023?
It was fixed by the 23rd, yes.
Okay. And are you aware of any other water concerns or issues that popped up with Mr. Hugin's unit after that time?
I'm not sure the exact date, but there was like a massive flood at some point. So it happened like he was on for 3 days or so, and then it flooded. So then the hot water was out for like a day or two. I'm not sure the exact number of days though, but it was out.
But it was only for a couple of days.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Are you aware of,
Yes. Ms. Coons, was that a yes?
Yes.
are you aware of any open or active maintenance requests that Mr. Hugin has on his for his unit?
No.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, any questions of this witness?
Yeah, she says, you said that the heat was, you guys gave me a space heater late November or early December. Y'all got the paperwork. I signed one over. It's the second time I had a space heater. So they have the paperwork for that too. I don't see that. They didn't present that to you. This is the second time I had a space heater. Would you like to see the space heater, Your Honor, that they want me to heat my house up with?
Your Honor, he's testifying rather than asking a question.
I agree. Sir, if you have any questions at this time, you can ask those. Do you have any questions of this witness? Sir, do you have any questions of this witness?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right. Ms. Scheid? Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hugin, you've already testified earlier a little bit, but you are asking me questions about whether I would like to see your space heater. If you would want to show that as demonstrative evidence, you're welcome to do so.
This is the space heater I'm supposed to heat my whole apartment with. And this little fragile. I'm supposed to heat my whole apartment up with this. Half my building was heating their apartments up with ovens that whole time. I was supposed to use this, so I'm confined in my bedroom, you know, and then it would short the power out. So I couldn't keep it on for a long period of time because I got to go keep resetting the fuse box. And then as far as the complaints about the heat, that of course, yes, I understand I should have put them in the portal, but I walked and talked to Jesse personally, like, Jesse, when the heat coming on? That, you know, that's my problem. That's my fault for not documenting that. You know, that's, but they know that I was coming to the office complaining. I don't know, you know, so, but this is what they wanted me to heat my apartment up with. This little thing. And it was longer than a month, but I'll take the month. The water was off for at least 2 days, but the cold water in my apartment off, because the buildings are separated from each other, the cold water was off for a minimum of a week. I had to boil water to take a bath. I couldn't flush my toilet. I had to go wake up in the morning when it's freezing cold and go to a restaurant to use the bathroom. You know, that's a meal. You know, I work, you know, 5 days a week. I paid almost $1,100 a month. I shouldn't have to go through that. You know, when they come up with, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the first time I got to speak. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm not stopping you. It's your opportunity.
But once I finally talked to Jack, like you said, he took over in March. He said, if you have any problems. After February 7th, I had no problem. So they should have it documented that the maintenance man came in my house February 7th, right? And then he bled my, so he was in my apartment February 7th and bled the lines. They didn't tell you that. So why is that not documented? And then he just told me when he did that on February 7th, when I pointed out the bathtub to him, he said, oh, I already put the order in for you on the bathtub. Because my bathtub needed to be, it's missing the, the piece of the parts of the white. So that's why I understand why I'm hearing this. So where's the report that the maintenance man fixed my heat on the 7th?
Thank you, sir. Who should I ask that question? Is it Ms. Coos or Mr. Rosen? Which one of you would have documentation of the maintenance?
Mr. Rosen, because I can show him the maintenance man. I can walk outside and go show him. He came to my house.
Sir, you just said you were done and you talked over me.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Rosen, do you have documentation of a maintenance man going into his home on February 7th?
We have a service issue that was created on the 6th that says that the heat is still not functioning fully, and it was completed on the 7th. That's the last thing I have here.
Thank you. Anything else from you, Ms. Scheid? Do you have any questions that you have of Mr. Hugan before I make my ruling?
Can I say something, Your Honor, actually?
Sure, we're having a free fall today.
Well, I just want to make a point that Mr. Hugan is saying that after February 7th, he has no complaints. So at the very most, he would be withholding January's rent plus the rent of February's up until the 7th, but the remainder of February, there's no reason that he should be withholding that.
Thank you. Well, I think, Mr. Rosen, I'm going to respond to you. I don't generally, but I'm going to. If it is true that his rent went out in November, his heat went out in November, and he paid November, and he paid December, then the issue is that he also paid for months in which he didn't have heat. Now, you're indicating that that didn't happen until December the 23rd. And unfortunately, Mr. Hugan did not document by saying anything in the portal. So that is an issue that is in dispute, and this court has no evidence as to what really happened between that November date and that December 23rd date. But from December 23rd until February 7th, there's documented evidence that he had a heating problem. And, I think Mr. Hugan did a great job by presenting to me today the space heater, because this court had a different conception in mind as to what the space heater would look like. I'm very concerned about the size of that space heater and what it can do for someone. And Ms. Scheid, as to your argument that this is one occurrence, first of all, I'm not even sure that particular statute applies to this situation. So that's my first question, whether that particular statute applies to this situation. I think that is a situation in which the landlord has intentionally took actions in order to try to interfere with the tenant's right to their possessory interests. I don't believe that there was any intent in this particular situation at all. This is a situation in which the heat went out, and probably due to circumstances related to this pandemic in which parts are still in shortage with respect to certain issues. You weren't able to get the parts that you needed to make the repairs in a timely manner. But nevertheless, that does not negate the fact that you have a duty to provide a situation that is habitable for this particular tenant and all the tenants for that matter. So we are in a situation in which documented he didn't have heat from December the 23rd to January the 7th. and therefore it wasn't habitable during that time period. And the question for the court is, how much is the court going to abate his rent in order to try to remedy that situation for him after the fact? And part of the problem is that he hasn't provided any documentation regarding being in the hotel. So I don't know what his actual damages are, but I do know that based on his testimony here today and based on his emotional state of being, he has some real consequences of that affected his ability to live his lifestyle, which anybody would in the middle of the winter when they don't have heat, and then another situation where they don't have actual running water, and then on top of that, another situation in which maybe they don't have hot water. So based on that, I am going to, what I'm going to do is, I think that it's a difficult situation for me to try to figure out, but given what I've been presented here today, and I do see that there is, I'll accept the exhibits that were submitted to this court as evidence. I presume you're moving to admit those, Ms. Scheid.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept those as into evidence. Even with that documented evidence, I believe that he is entitled to an abatement. And I'm going to do that for 1 month's rent. So, sir, that's what I'm going to give you as an abatement. I really think it boils down to like 50% for a bunch of that time, but I'm going to just do it at, so I think it's 50% for more than 1 month. The question is how long of the next month. So I'm going to do it at a 1 month's rent abatement. If you know what that means. So you'll get credit for 1 month's rent.
So I just owe February then, right?
I don't think it matters whether it's January or February, but it's 1 month of rent. Your Honor, I would just like to state for the record, though, you had questioned about the statute with the $200 per occurrence. I referenced to 600-2918. That is in response to the fact that Mr. Hugan, I understand, while he's not an attorney, did have somebody assist him. He specifically cited that statute in his defenses and counterclaims, and that statute does limit my client's damages to $200 per occurrence. And so,
well, I can determine whether I think I determine what's an occurrence, and I don't believe that because the heat is out. So in essence, your argument is that the heat goes out at the beginning of January and you don't get it back on until the end of December. That's one occurrence. I don't agree with that interpretation. And I, if you want to make that argument, we can go on $200 a day.
no, Your Honor.
All right. Plus, in addition to that, you have an occurrence of the heat, you have an occurrence of the water, you have another occurrence of the water. So, I mean, there are many ways to look at these occurrences that you're arguing about. And so my abatement is for the 1 month. When can you pay that, sir?
I could pay that on the, I paid all full on the first. I pay, you know.
You're not gonna have until the first, so you had a hearing.
I could pay this rent tomorrow. I could do it tomorrow. I was trying to pay everything at one time. I'll pay it tomorrow.
All right, so Your Honor, according to his rental amount, it is, he pays $1,079 per month for his rent. So on the judgment form, do you want me to change the amount under paragraph 2 with the numbers, or put this under other further orders? Under
You can put it under further orders.
Okay.
All right. And you need to pay that, sir, because you had a hearing, you're gonna have a judgment against you. And that will be in the amount that they're asking for, the $2,418, I think it was, less $1,079 in credit. Any questions from anybody?
Your Honor, I just wanted to make sure that the language that I'm including under other further orders is sufficient. I put defendant's amount in 2D above is abated by $1,079, which is 1 month's rent.
Correct.
And I apologize, what did you say that it has to be paid by?
He said he would pay it tomorrow, but the reality is that he gets his 10 days under
Yeah.
any normal circumstances, but
First, so
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said, Ms. Shaw.
I didn't say anything.
May 1st. According to the 10 days is May 1st as of today.
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, have a good night, everybody.
You
All right,
too.
thank you.
I think the judge made a fair decision in this case. I also believe that if the tenant had showed something to prove that he had to stay with family and in a hotel, or at least asked the witness some questions about the heat being out in November, the judge probably would have deducted both months of rent. It sounds like the tenant had a good defense. I just wish he would have prepared better for this case or retained an attorney. All in all, I believe the judge made a fair decision with the evidence she had. I would love to hear your thoughts on this case in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.